Hi, this is Ari Kopel with Shattering the Matrix. Today we have AtonaAreyus again with Part 5 of Walking Between Realities Beyond the Illusion. So today we're actually going to go beyond, much further into what we are going to do, which is shattering the matrix further and giving some of the understandings of what the beyond may look like, and then what we need to do to be able to go to that point of the beyondness. So, Atona, welcome back to our show, and thank you very much for joining us today.
Hi, Ari, and hello to your listeners.
Absolutely.
It's great to be talking. I'm very excited about this show.
Yes, I am too, and it's, we've been waiting for it. I've been getting extensive emails and communication as to when this show is going to take place, and so a lot of people are probably going to be on this, radio broadcast, at least listening in to all the wonderful things that you have to share with us today. Let's take back a little bit, or refresh some of the memories of our listeners with respect to a couple of things that you talked about in our last show, and that was, addressing that lake that you talked about, the vision that you had, if you want to start there, or if you have another place that you would prefer to start with.
Okay, well, no, that's actually a good place to start, and I'm going to go back to some other things, but let's start with that one. If you remember, I was given a vision of a lake, and I searched from Florida all the way up to the Pacific West for that lake. And I had a very interesting phenomenon. After a year of searching for this lake, I was still searching, and I happened to be on my computer looking at lakes that homes or properties that had lakes associated with them. And I had made a list of properties that I was going to call and set up appointments. And on my first call, a woman answered, and she started talking to me about this property, and it wasn't too long into the call that I realized that I didn't have the description in my head that she had. What she was saying, I started looking at my paperwork, and I couldn't find what she was talking about. And so I asked her where she was located, and she gave me where she was located, and I knew that that was not a call that I was prepared to make, because I didn't have her phone number.
Right, yeah.
So realizing that this was an unusual circumstance, and of course having had so many of those, I realized that I really had to pay attention. So I made an appointment with her to go to the property, and I went with a woman named Denise Johnson, and it was in New Mexico, and we walked where her property was, and this was on a very large piece of property, and then she took us down to the lake. And when I got down to the lake and I was looking at it from a distance, I didn't sense anything. So I decided I would walk to the water's edge. And when I walked down to the water's edge, my friend followed me, and she was right in back of me. And when I stood and looked up from the water's edge at the lake and the vision that I had came together.
Wow. And
the energy of the two coming together actually blew me back into Denise. And I said, oh, my God, this is the lake. Now, just because you have information, then you have discovered where your vision is, doesn't mean you have all the information. as I have mentioned before, that unfolds with the synchronicities that Spirit brings into your life. And that's how Spirit actually communicates, is through synchronicity.
Mm-hmm.
It's not linear. Although it can appear linear, having two close events, sometimes it can be years.
Sure.
And the synchronicity will collapse that time frame, and you'll have an understanding that you haven't had before, an awareness shift, insight, a change in your life that is actualized by this synchronicity and the combining of the energy of two or more incidents that are linked this way. So I basically had discovered where the lake was. I was absolutely thrilled, but I still did not have any idea why I was given this vision. And so what happened after that was I journeyed back to Colorado and made numerous trips back down to the lake, but still no information came. And it wasn't until a journey that I took with you that information came. Sure. And that information was, I was up at Mount Shasta, and while up at Mount Shasta, the journey that you and I took, I saw Master El Moya.
Sure, I remember that.
And as a result of seeing Master El Moya, some other synchronistic events took place. During the time that we were traveling back from our trip to Mount Shasta, where I saw Master El Moya, who said nothing but looked at me, he came into my energy field a number of times, as you know, because I mentioned it to you. And then that was it. You went back to Florida, I believe, at the time, and I think maybe a week or so passed, but I started having visions of the lake again. Now, this already, the distance in time was over a year since I had been to that lake, and I had not really found any connection to it. So as you can see, events don't necessarily link immediately.
That's right.
And so what happened was I started having visions of that lake, and when you contacted me, I said, hey, guess what? I happen to be having visions of that lake again.
Yep.
And do you remember what you said?
I really don't remember. I think it has something to do with I have something to tell you or something like that.
Okay, you said, well, no, wait a minute.
Oh, okay.
You said, well, let's see where that lake is.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And as a result of that, you and I discovered that where the lake was quite significant. And in order for your listeners to find out where that lake was and why it was quite significant, you're going to have to go back in and listen to the radio programs that I've done already.
Right.
Because I'm not going to tell you in this one. And there's a reason that I'm not going to tell you, and I want you to do this, okay?
Right.
And you will find out later on in the show why I'm doing that. But one of the other things that we found out at that time was that Master El Moya was directly connected with that area. And I'm not going to say why. You go back and listen for it. Okay.
Right.
The other thing that I have not mentioned to you was that it was maybe a year later, and I was talking to another dear friend who I had not mentioned this to. She was an attorney, and we had not spoken for a considerable amount of time. And when I did speak with her, it just didn't come up. But she happened to call me during this time period when I was having visions again of the lake, and I had found out that Master El Moya was directly connected with it. And then the other thing that was very, very interesting was that my incident in Yosemite was also directly connected with my shifting of the synchronicities of the lake to understandings that were given to me that day that you had mentioned it. I went and I was streaming through a book, and I saw a picture of El Capitan in the book, and it was on the Masters and their retreats.
Mm-hmm.
And when it was a little thumbnail picture, and when I went down and I looked at that little picture, there was a very significant piece of information that was connected to that picture. So I'm not going to tell you what it is, folks. You're going to have to go back and listen to pull that out. And there's a reason that I'm doing this, so do it, okay? If you want to go forward, you will do this, okay?
Right.
All right, so, okay, I will bring the other information out about what connected me again to that lake and how it is connected to the image that you will have to go and find out why I would be bringing up that image again.
Mm-hmm.
There's another connection to be made to that.
Okay.
And I'm not going to say it now. I am going to say it when I am doing the work with the people who are choosing to go forward with the work that I have been given to give to people now.
Good.
Okay?
Yeah.
So that's all I'm going to say about the lake, other than I now know what it's about.
Yeah.
I now know what is to take place.
Wow.
And I am not going to tell.
Okay.
Until, but I will tell those who are going to be moving forward. And by the end of this show, you should know whether you will be or you won't be. And for those that will be, I promise you, you'll be very excited when you get the information.
Yes, absolutely.
So,
well, we do have a lot of information to cover because a lot of the information that you will be presenting today is really crucial to our being able to move beyond. And so I know that there's a list of topics that we want to discuss, and so I wanted to start with the first one, which is Ayers Rock in Australia. That is major, and so I would like you to disclose all the information that you know that you can possibly disclose for all the audience in reference to what that is and why is that so important.
Okay, I definitely will. The first thing I want to do also, though, Ari, is that I know that you recently had a very special woman on and interviewed, and that is Crystal and Asola.
Sure.
I just want your listeners to know she is a very profound seeress. I personally know Crystal, and I have witnessed amazing things that stunned me silent. And I'm very rarely stunned that way.
Gotcha.
So if you haven't listened to that show, I highly recommend that you do.
Yeah.
And she is very, very amazing, true servant, and I just want to honor her by mentioning my connection with her.
Thank you for doing that. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm sure she will listen to the show and hear that for herself as well.
Oh, well, good.
Awesome.
All right.
Okay.
So, Ayers Rock. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me see. How do I begin this story? Okay. First, let me mention another very special woman, and her name is Patty Diane Cota-Robles. And I have mentioned Patty before in my tapes. I will just give you a brief synopsis on Patty. I met her at the beginning of my journey. And she was one of the people who actually facilitated at the Starlink event, the event that I did at the Los Angeles Coliseum. Mm-hmm. Now, Patty also did an event called Earthlink, and this involved Ayers Rock in Australia.
Okay.
Now, I believe that most of your listeners would understand that crystals are carriers of information and intelligence,
yep,
actual consciousness. And so Ayers Rock, underneath Ayers Rock, there is a huge crystal. And in 1988, before the Starlink event, there was something called the Earthlink event. And the Earthlink event, people gathered in sacred sites all over the world again. And they gathered with intention to focus their consciousness to Ayers Rock. Now, some very interesting ancient information. Mm-hmm. Ayers Rock actually measured the collective vibrational level of humanity.
Wow.
It still does. Now, whenever humanity would reach a certain vibrational level, Ayers Rock was responsible for releasing information through the crystalline structure that goes through the entire planet. And that information would be information that advanced humanity. It could be a invention that was discovered, another breakthrough that took place in understanding of medicine, or it's always connected with the shifting of consciousness and advancement for humanity. Now, this structure was basically on a one-to-one basis, so it actually measured the individual's vibration.
Okay.
When humanity reached a certain level of vibration and they shifted with some kind of advancement on a one-to-one basis. But the Earthlink event was a major shift for humanity because it actually released a new program. There was enough people that gathered their intention at a level of vibration that actually shifted everyone into a completely new program for advancement. And this was actually received by every single person on the planet. Everyone.
Wow.
And now I'm going to give you a little bit more information. I'm just going to stop there for a minute, okay?
Yep.
This information was given to me by Patty Robles. Now, I mean about Ayers Rock. The other information that I gave you, she's the one that held it. The other information that I gave you about the shifting of consciousness actually came from Councils of Light. Okay? Mm-hmm. So basically, the morning of that following day of that event, or on the same day, and you will have to, excuse me for not remembering exactly when it was.
Okay.
It was either that day or the following morning. Mm-hmm. I was actually having a conversation with a woman named Sandora. And during the time that I was having a conversation, I saw something coming through the ethers, and it was a golden disc. And it came, and I said it out loud. As soon as I saw it, I said, "Oh my God, there's a golden disc," and it went into my third eye.
Wow.
And I said to her, oh my God, it just went into my third eye. Now, I had no idea what that was. None. Later that day, I went to Tucson, Arizona to meet with Patty Cota-Robles and her friend that she works with frequently, and my friend Sandara went with me. We were having lunch, and Patty was telling us about the event that took place and the crystalline structure under Ayers Rock and the shift that took place for humanity, the new program. And she said to me, and that every single person on the planet received the new program in the form of a golden disc that went into their third eye.
Oh my God! I can't believe
it.
And
I had no idea. I mean, it just blew my socks off. It blew Sandara's socks off because I had said this out loud. I actually saw the disc.
Wow.
And that's just to confirm for your listeners that these events are real. They're real.
Yep.
What's taking place. Mm-hmm. And humanity is in a shifting of consciousness, and it's been for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
A long time. So, what does that mean? I'll tell you what it means. The new program. And I was given this information when I went from Los Angeles to live in Colorado. And I believe that was early 89. That the shifting of consciousness would go from the work that we had been doing on a one-to-one basis, whether that would be your one spiritual counselor or your therapist. Are you there?
I sure am.
Yeah. To the combining of frequencies in an exponential way, meaning the benefit to humanity and to the individual would no longer be based in one-to-one relationship, but would be based in the gathering of those who are on the spiritual path, on the journey, in larger and larger numbers.
Wow.
Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
What I just said?
To me it does,
okay.
Sure.
Okay. So essentially, what you started to see, is the gathering of people and the shifting of consciousness based on the fact that when you gather 10 people, there's an exponential number added to that in terms of the benefit to those individuals. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is very, very significant to the fact that there are future events that are planned for exponentially shifting consciousness. Now, I want to go to another place with this, and that's to the knowledge of ancient sacred sites. Okay? So everyone knows that there's always been kind of like a mysterious allure and legends and reports of kind of extraordinary experiences that would happen to people at sacred sites. Some sacred sites have been reported to have the power to heal the body. Some inspired the heart, and then there were those that would experience awareness shifts that enlightened their mind. So sacred sites have had this significance and allure from ancient times.
Yep.
It's not new. It's ancient. And almost at the core of all religions, there are sacred sites associated with those religions. and not differentiated. One religion has a sacred site and another one doesn't. They all do. They all have sacred sites.
So true.
Okay. Well, there are many contributing factors to sacred sites and what makes them sacred. And some of this is really, really interesting information that has to do with the energy fields that actually exist at these sites.
Yep.
Almost all of these sacred sites are set in places where there is an increase in magnetism or radioactivity, gravity, the presence of like subsurface water, even volcano activity. And basically what I'm saying is that almost all sacred sites have phenomena that is measurable, like ultrasound or other geophysical abnormalities are found at these sacred sites. Okay?
Yeah.
So many of the locations are either directly on top of areas with these unusual geophysical phenomena, or they're in close proximity to it, okay?
Yep.
And just about everywhere in the world, ancient people revered peculiar rock formations, outcroppings or springs of water, caves, even some of the forests are considered very sacred sites. And there's a particular reason for these, because there is actually at these sites energies that can be monitored, and they actually affect the earth in certain ways, but they also affect humans in certain ways.
Yep, so true. And some of these places are actual portals as well, no?
Yes, very definitely. I know I was going to get to that, but I just wanted to get, to the fact that we actually, not only is there legends connected to it, but there's actual phenomena that takes place in these.
Yep.
Now, on top of that, you also have celestial influences on these sacred places, and, that's been proven, with the Mayans and Stonehenge, and, they were actually, there was actually, I believe, bones that were actually found in caves where they had carved astronomical observations of events taking place in the heavens. In England, and I think there are stone rings and chambered mounds. Do you know those places, Ori, the chambered mounds?
I'm not familiar with those, no.
Okay, well, I'm pretty sure it's in England, but, there are standing stones and monolithic faces carved that are standing and in horizontal relationship to things. And when they actually started studying their arrangements, they began to observe that they were actually observing the movements of the sun and the moon and the stars. And there's a reason for that. Not only was there in these locations phenomena that, like the activities that I've mentioned, but there was also the recording of events that were happening in the heavens. Like the Mayans, there were observations of five of the planets, the visible planets, Mercury and Venus, Mars, Saturn, and maybe Jupiter, that were actually being recorded in some of their observatories where their pyramids were. This is known fact now, that correlation was being made, and so there it's very, very definite that these sacred sites were also recording the movements of our planets.
Okay.
And the reason for that is because our planets actually have a tremendous influence on our Earth, but on us as well.
Right.
And these are the planets create these very, very powerful effects in Earth's electromagnetic field, and it isn't just that; it's every living thing on the planet. So most of you people are aware, and some of them actually pay attention to astrology and things like that. But these sacred sites are very significant in that manner.
Right.
Because our bodies actually have rhythms and chemistry that's actually, what would you say, changed by the timing and relationship of planets.
Correct. Yes.
So the transformation of our gene structure actually, our cellular energy systems, our heartbeat, even fertilization, a woman's menstrual cycle, these are all cycles that actually are followed by the ancients in these sacred sites.
Correct.
So it is now time that this information be made available on a much larger scale, in that part of the shifting of humanity will be involved with sacred sites. And I don't want to give any more information out on that, although there is a lot of information about that will be given out, and that will be given out in a certain manner as people progress with their work. And that's the work that I'm talking about will be being done. And Arik, is it time that, can we mention the fact that we're going to be doing teleconferences now?
Oh, yeah, sure. You can go ahead and say that if you'd like, and then I'll follow up with anything you miss out.
Okay. So basically, what I'm talking about is there's a work that, and I know you all know that in order to evolve out of the life-death cycle, shifts in consciousness must take place.
Yep.
And this is not something that is done by somebody else. It's actually done by you. And we know how to do that. We know how to dissolve the life-death cycle. That information is here, and we need to be using it now. And that is the information and the work that I'm referring to that will be being done in these teleconferences. And we are going to be utilizing all the information that we have in relation to the sacred sites, the shifting of the planets, but also how you discover what you are made up of, your personal I that is enslaved in the life-death cycle. How are you enslaved? What is doing the enslaving? What gives you the experience of you? It's time for that information to be made available. not just on a one-to-one basis anymore, and that's why we're going to be doing teleconferences. And based on the information that I've just given you about the shifting of consciousness in relation to larger and larger groups of people being gathered, you can understand that in teleconferences with people who don't even have to know each other,
correct,
you will have the benefits of the work that is being done in these teleconferences, and it will be exponential, depending on the size of the conference. So the more people that attend, the better it's going to be.
Yeah, I agree.
Now,
and also just a quick plug there too, that you will be able to they'll be able to ask questions as well, correct?
Oh, absolutely. This is going to be totally interactive. Absolutely. So you're not going to be listening to me. Actually, there will be others as well at some point, because I can assure you that I will not be able to do the amount of work that is to take place. But I will begin, and there are others who have already been in the work that are moving in their own spiritual understandings to a place where they themselves will be able to guide others through. And hopefully, it'll go the way it's been going, which is fantastic.
Exactly. Yeah, we let the universe take care of that, because it will. Obviously, everything will fall into place. I wanted to take you back a little bit to the events that are to take place, because I think those are one of the things that we were going to talk about, and specifically with the vision of the 12 portals, that thing. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was actually. Thank you very much for bringing that up. I quite a few years ago had a vision experience. Now, how do you describe that? Well, basically, you're basically experiencing and recalling the experience at the same time. So it's kind of like being in two locations where you know you're in the experience, and then you're having the recall of the experience in another location, and that's not unusual.
Right.
After certain veils have already begun to dissolve, those types of experiences begin to happen. And so at this gathering, there was a huge, huge gathering of individuals, and it was on the other side. It was not here. And when I came out of the vision and experience, I actually was left with very, very specific information. And the information, to me, seemed fragmented. And I actually went to Patty Cota-Robles to explain what had transpired and collected information that she had that put it more in understanding for me. And I'll go more into detail about that event as we, in the teleconferences.
Okay.
But at this gathering, there are super universes. There are universes beyond our universe that are in the illumined worlds. And there are teachings in those universes. There are gateways into those universes. Those gateways are not open now. They are not. Humanity, at a certain point, will be opening those gateways. And here's the part of the components. Every single person that was present at this gathering received a living mandala of light in their heart chakra.
Wow.
And that living mandala of light, well, I'll basically stop at that right now. And then I'm going to go on and I'm going to tell you that there was an event that took place at my property in Colorado. This vision came to me in Colorado. Now, Jose Arguelles was to do another event, and he sent a man named Dr. Rob to my property because they had a sense that this other event was going to take place in the Four Corners area, and through word of mouth, they had a feeling that it might be on my property. Now, I knew there was to be an event at my property or in that area, but when they came, and Jose didn't come yet, Dr. Rob came. And when Dr. Rob came, we walked the property, and he explained Jose's event. Okay. And every time he'd talk about the event, Ari, I would see an overlapping. It looked like I was looking at two images in a picture. You know, where you snap two images, just like that. It looked just like that. And I couldn't understand why. And so he was there, I'd say about a week, and we kept trying to figure out what this was all about. And finally, I got to go to the Four Corners area. The actual Four Corners area is on Hopi land.
Yep.
And so Dr. Rob, myself, and his wife actually left and went to the Hopi reservation and went to the actual Four Corners area and got out and walked on the land. And when we did that, immediately the overlapping separated, and we could see very clearly that there were two events, and that Jose event was to be held there and not on my property. And so it was held there. Okay? Now, with that information, Jose was in Brazil at the time.
Yeah.
And Dr. Rob got on a plane and was going to go to meet with him in Brazil to give him this information. And on a layover somewhere where he was making a connection, a man approached him, and he was carrying a book, and he was from Africa. And he just went direct up to Dr. Rob, and he said, I think you will be interested in looking at this book. And so he turned the book towards Dr. Rob, and when he did that, Dr. Rob saw Saint Germain's face on the book. Now, this man, he didn't know this man from Adam.
Wow.
There's no way that this man could know that Dr. Rob, at that time, was working directly with Saint Germain.
Wow.
So there's the synchronicity there.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. So was Saint Germain on the page like a picture of Saint Germain, or he just happened to see his, you know?
Yeah, no, he was on the front cover.
Oh, front cover. Gosh, wow.
Yeah. And there was a what do you call that? You know, that marks your page in the book. A bookmark.
Yeah, a bookmark. Wow.
There's a bookmark in the book. So, of course, naturally, Dr. Rob went right to where the bookmark was, and what he read, immediately he understood, and he turned around and did not go to Brazil. He came back to my property.
Oh, my gosh.
Yes. Now, I had not spoken about the vision that I had had.
Okay.
Of the stargates and the living mandalas of light going into the heart chakras. I did not tell Dr. Rob anything about this, but he came back and of course you can imagine my surprise when he showed up, because he's supposed to be in Brazil, and he said, I just want to go for a walk with you on the property. And I said, okay. So off we went. And as we're walking, I'm walking slightly ahead of him. And he says to me, how many gateways are in this area?
Oh, wow.
And I turned and I said, there are 12. And that confirmed for him, because it spoke about the 12 gateways in that book.
Oh, my gosh. Wow. So, and how did he know to come back to you? I mean, that was just like a knowing that he had, or?
Yes. It's from working with Saint Germain.
Wow.
You know, he was already quite perceptive, and that's why he knew. And so he came back, and he came back to verify his information. And the thing is that the other part of this is that I was also given information that the heart of the planet is in the Four Corners area.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that's very sacred knowledge. And that this event was to ignite the collective heart of humanity.
Wow.
This event that would take place. So basically, the information that I've just given you is part of what's laying out for the future. And those that are that were there at that event, when the group that was there comes together in this event,
in the physical,
that is the living light mandala. The light.
That's in the physical, Atona, when they come together?
That's correct.
Okay.
In the physical. They will be in the physical. Yes. Mm-hmm.
So then that will form the collective living mandala?
It is the collective living mandala that opens the 12 gateways to the super universes. Okay. Yeah.
Wow. So the purpose of the information that you're bringing now is to seek out those that resonate with this information, that they feel that they're one of the ones that received the living mandala, so that we can get together and activate and open up the stargates?
Well, I'm just basically giving the information out that vision was given to me, and I'm basically not saying anything further on that. I'm not making any projections. I'm just giving that information out right now. I know that you know that I don't project and don't give meaning. I'll give exactly what but I will tell you that there's preparation that does have to be done. Yeah. That's part of what I'm doing with the work that I'm doing. And yes, there will be a huge gathering. And I was, as you know, with someone who's very special to me, and that information came out very recently in my mind, and I contacted you when it happened.
Yes.
And you also know that when I went to my phone, I happened to have Pandora on my phone, and there was a song playing, and when I went over to the phone to look at it, the song that was playing was called The Gateways.
Yeah, another synchronicity, huh?
Yeah, it is another synchronicity. And
that's amazing.
Like I said, that's, part of what will be happening with people who are going to be doing the work. They will be seeing the synchronicities that are happening all around them. I mean, it's going to magnify for them.
Yeah.
We have a small group of women. I'm not going to mention their names or who's involved, but I know you know who I'm talking about, Ari. And the synchronicities that are happening are unbelievable. They're, what's happening in one person's life is happening in another person's life, and they're discovering it because they're interrelated.
Yes.
I expect that at these teleconferences, the interrelationship is going to be profound.
Yeah, I agree.
Feel that very, very, very strongly.
Yeah, I totally agree. Okay, good. So what is a person who's interested in participating in these teleconferences?
Okay, well,
what are some of the things that you're going to be addressing, and should they be expecting to get out of it?
Oh my goodness. Okay. Essentially, the work, and I want to refer to it as the work, because what people have to understand is, if you think you can get out of the life-death cycle easily, you're mistaken. It is not easy. What constructs the life-death cycle is so baffling. It is so amazing in terms of its power. You need assistance. You need help in understanding what constructs it. Yeah. And that's the information that's going to be given in these teleconferences. Your personal self, you, what you are constructed of in terms of your everyday life, what's happening specifically in your everyday life. And what does the personal I mean? What is your personality? What is it? What constructs it? And what does that have to do with duality? I'm sure many of you have heard about duality. But what does it mean? How does it apply to you? How does it apply to what constructs your experience of being in an illusion? Yeah. That's the information that's going to be given out. How do you work with it to dissolve it so that you see beyond it? That's the information that's going to be given out. Cool. What's the shadow self? People hear about the shadow self in Native American tradition. They do ceremony to go meet their shadow self. Mm-hmm. What constructs the shadow self and what constructs the outer world? Journeys that will shift your construct, your experience of life as something separate from yourself. Mm-hmm. Yep. What holds you in this separation? These are the things that are going to be revealed, and you will not be doing it alone. Right. Absolutely. It is in relationship. It is in connection that this is going to be taking place. So very cool. So and we're going to be, of course, revealing also the Christ itself. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I'm going to go into great details. But remember this, okay? I'm not going to jump ahead. Right. And give them information that they cannot access and understand. It has to be done in a way that can be comprehensive, where they actually can have experiences that show them. Yep. It's got to be experiential. Yes. And that's what I'm saying. It is experiential. You will see what constructs your personal I. You will see how the past interfaces with your present moment. You will see how the past is actually what is constructing your present moment. How is it doing it? You'll know what body is involved in it, what, not just your physical body, but what other body is involved that actually sets how you will respond to a situation. Right. And why is it repetitive? What hides it? So that you can't see the repetitiveness at times. Mm-hmm. Oh, all of it is going to be revealed. Right. And then we're going to go beyond that. We're going to go into what is beyond illumination. Because in actuality, if you go into the most recent of ancient texts that speak of illumination, let me know. I'm up and walking around right now because it's so exciting to me. When you actually read the information that speaks about illumination, enlightenment. That's what it talks about. It doesn't speak about what is beyond. What is beyond illumination? What is beyond enlightenment? Well, there is a beyond. And that's what you want to experience.
Yeah.
You want to experience the beyond enlightenment. In order to do that, though, you have to attain enlightenment.
Yep.
Now, that doesn't mean that you won't be given sometimes experiences that show you that there is a beyond. There are many people that have had experiences that, but can they access it? Can they go into the illumined worlds in their consciousness? Or do they feel that they're enslaved in this one? There's a big difference, Ari.
You're right.
A big, 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 big difference.
Yep.
And not everyone needs to have an experience of the illumined worlds in order to attain enlightenment. Enlightenment is what opens the door to the illumined worlds. You will not enter the illumined worlds without enlightenment, because that is where the personal self that believes itself to be in separation dissolves,
right,
and is gone. It's no longer there. You are then in the eternal of your own being, and you know yourself to be beginningless and endless and formless, single, being knowledge bliss. Now, those are just words, but it isn't just words. It's experiential.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
In order to have that experience, you have to dissolve the personal I that believes itself to be in this matrix, in this illusion. How can you do that if you don't know what it is?
That's right.
You can't.
No, you can't.
So this is what's going to be being done. This is what's going to be being done in these teleconferences. So
That's
everyone I'm going to start with two. I've tried to decide whether I should have 2 a week, because this work is very powerful, and people cannot be left on their own for a long period of time. You have to stay on top of it.
Yeah.
And so trying to decide if it should be 2 a week, it's definitely not going to be 1. I might have to increase it depending on how fast it moves for people.
Correct.
Also.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, that's something that you would be able to gauge for sure.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I can gauge that with no problem because, as you know, I have already been working with people.
Yep.
So the other thing about that is that I will, if someone doesn't understand something, you will have access to me through emails. If they want a personal interaction, they have to request it through the site, okay?
Correct.
So that I can set that up. I don't want to give my personal email out because I'm already swamped with personal email.
Yeah. Well, that's
and
not
I
a
have
problem.
to get some help.
Sure. Yeah, that's not a problem. So, like, people that are interested in joining, first of all, the group that you're going to start within the website or the site called ShatteringTheMatrix.com, the group that you will be leading is Beyond the Illusion. And
that's what we're going to be calling it. That's right.
That's correct. Beyond the Illusion. So anyone who is a member of ShatteringTheMatrix.com already, in order to get into any of the groups or any of the teaching sites, you do need to subscribe to the site, not just become a member of the site. You can be a member. It's absolutely free to be a member. But if you want to be able to get the tools that Atona is talking about, or that other of our teachers that we're interviewing now are talking about, then you need to subscribe, and it's $6.99 a month to be able to do that. But once you're in there in Atona's group called Beyond the Illusion, she will be able to put up different newsletters or postings or any information in reference to the workshops, and any assignments or homework that she might want to have you all do. And then also...
And there'll be plenty of that, by the way. I don't mean to interrupt you.
For
but
sure.
This is if you do join the teleconferences, this is a commitment, and you will be doing work, and it takes a tremendous amount of effort on my part to oversee this. So I will expect that you honor that and do the work.
Well, this is, in my opinion, Atona, I'm sorry to interrupt you, this is really for the people that are really serious about, mastery. And, if you're just curious, it's not going to work for you. You really need to be committed, like Atona said, and you need to be serious about it. So that, the homework is really important, doing the work that is put up there for you to do, because Atona has done this, and she's worked with many students, and it's obviously been very effective with many. So that's important. So the first thing they need to do, of course, is subscribe to ShatteringTheMatrix.com, and then look particularly for the group called Beyond the Illusion, and become a member of that one. As you join that, and then when the teleconference is announced, then go ahead and then sign up for the teleconference, and Atona will mention how many times a week she's going to be having them, and that type of thing. So the frequency is going to be shared with all of you, as well as the telephone number and PIN number, and all of that information will be shared with all those that are really serious to go to the next level. Pretty accurate there information for you, Atona?
Very definitely.
Okay, good,
yes,
good.
Very definitely.
Good.
And then Ari, the trips to the sacred sites.
Yes. And those two
will be part of that as well.
Yes, and that's part of the whole thing is that
right.
Along with that, of course, there will be sacred trips to sacred sites, because that is part of the activation, part of the transformation, right? That we're all going to experience because of the reasoning that you went into very in-depth about talking about sacred sites and why all those were important. That's all part of our process. And I strongly, believe that, that what you were speaking about, the living mandala, my goodness, that is huge information right there, huge to me. And so imagine all of us, activating that living mandala together. Amazing.
And and I want to make something very, very clear. I am not an elitist, and I'm not somebody that believes in exclusion. I am very inclusive. Ari will tell you that's my modus operandi. However, when I am working with people who are dedicated and really want to go beyond the life-death cycle, and they are putting in the effort, I want to focus with them, because there's a lot of shifting that still lies ahead. And there's going to be those that will reach illumination, and they will decide to return and continue to assist humanity. And I don't really want to exclude anybody, but if you're not serious, exclude yourself, please. Sure. Because I don't have the amount of energy that it takes to do this kind of work. It is very intense work. It takes a tremendous amount of focus. If you don't want to do that, No one's going to think anything less of you. Just let somebody else have your spot.
Sure.
That's all.
Yeah. Well, that's only fair. That's the right thing to do. So, I think we've pretty much touched upon...
Not everything.
Okay.
Not everything.
Okay.
Because, I mentioned, I stopped at illumination, and I said that there is beyond illumination.
Mm-hmm.
And there is beyond illumination. There is the Christ itself.
Yep.
And the Christ itself is actually an intermediary. It is an intermediary between the planetary and your I am presence, which is in the illumined worlds. It's never left.
Right.
And this is information that will make sense as you advance through the work. But the Christ itself actually is where you would be shifting to first. The Christ itself is where illumination is. It's in the Christ itself.
That's fantastic. Well, I'll take that any day.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, or like
and
now.
The fact of the matter is there are components that actually make up the Christ itself. And understanding what those components are is part of what will be given. When we move through the work to a certain level as a collective, meaning that each individual is moving and doing their work, and the collective has, in the teleconferences, moved because of that, then we will be releasing further and further and more advanced information. That's
Good.
how it's going to work.
Good. That's great. That's great. And hopefully everybody will be doing their homework so that they can be building up, reaching up to that level where you're introducing higher and higher, more profound work, more profound information, more in-depth information. Good.
Well, I'll know.
Oh no, I know you'll know.
Because the excitement of this and the beauty of this is that working with the large groups of people doing the work will have an exponential effect for the entire group, which is beautiful.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. And somehow, how does this connect? And this is like kind of almost like a sidebar, but within the actual radio show. How does the fact that X amount of people are going to be getting together, joining these teleconferences because they are serious to go into their next level. And then how does this all tie into the crystalline structure of the Earth, and how does this exponentially affect humanity?
Oh, that's a good question.
I know it's a good question. Wow, that's a great question.
I know how. Okay?
Uh-huh.
But I'm not going to give it out now.
Oh, gosh.
Because, what you have to understand is this is initiation also.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You have to understand that initiation, you can give information out.
Uh-huh.
But when you're working with people and they are in their own initiation, and believe me, I look at what is happening as a great initiation.
Yeah.
It's earned.
Good point. Good point. You're absolutely spot on that, and so I honor that. And so that is everyone that is listening to this radio show today. This is very, very exciting. Very, very exciting. This is it's long overdue, and I don't know of anyone right now doing this kind of work to this level where you can all learn it, together. And exponentially,
benefit.
Yes, benefit, and sharing that transformation, because it is transformational. So,
and for me, it's extremely exciting because I have known this since '89.
Wow.
That the time would come when we would begin to work exponentially, and the one-on-one work would cease. And that means so much in terms of where we are.
Yeah.
And be excited. be very, very excited.
Oh, yeah.
I know that there are things happening that are not understood.
Mm-hmm.
You look out at the world and you see all of the change that's taking place, and you look at your neighbor and you look at your own life and you go, oh my God, why am I feeling this such deep hatred or confusion or doubt or, well,
or sadness, or
we're part of, yes, we're part of the collective.
Yeah,
and that is running through the collective, because these are part of what is being cleared from humanity now. This is being cleared so that humanity does join the illumined worlds, and we will.
Wow.
And that's what's happening. And there's so much more on that, but I don't want to go into that without being able to really directly answer a question that's rising in so many people's minds right now, and I can feel them.
Yeah. Well, they'll get a lot of their questions answered once they join the group, and
right.
And hopefully take that extra step and attend one of these teleconferences, and hopefully they'll be hooked, and then they do the homework, and everybody will, like you said, benefit. It's exponential. It's a collective thing now. It's no longer one-on-one. We all need to work on this together. And I strongly know that what the information you're providing now, Atona, is going to help many tremendously. So, did you have anything else to share with us today?
No, just thank you so much, Ari. And I just once again want to tell you I was so thrilled when I saw that you were interviewing Crystal.
Oh, yes.
It
was wonderful.
Time.
It was very
so
special.
Time.
Yeah, and she's going to be with us again. Because she's one of those wise ones as well. So we have a lot to learn from many people. So thank you very much again, Atona, for coming on the show again, doing part 5, which was long overdue, but definitely, the waiting was definitely worth it. And I again invite everyone to go to shatteringthematrix.com, subscribe, and find the group that's called Beyond the Illusion, and that will be the group that Atona is going to be leading. She's going to be teaching in there and providing all the homework and all the information there, as well as letting you all know when the teleconferences are going to take place and all that good stuff. So, again, thank you, Atona, for being with us. Thank you all for being with us as well. I'll catch you next time. You've been listening to Shattering the Matrix. This is Ari Kopel. Love you very much. Catch you next week.